Want to break down on some of the latest topics from college to the pros? We interview many individuals to share their knowledge about the news stories surrounding the teams and its players. This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison, alongside a very special guest, somebody who knows Christina and Monica, my last few guests on this podcast. Tell us your name and what you do.
Hi, my name is Tykera Carter, currently freelance sports reporter, and I'm also coaching high school assistant basketball. I'm also a assistant varsity girls high school basketball coach.
Assistant, huh? Yeah. So I see you both on the coaching side and the freelance journalism side. So
nobody knows about my coaching venture yet. I just started coaching maybe last week, so yeah, it's cool.
Oh, okay. Tell me a little bit about some of the events you covered during your freelance journalism work.
Sure. So I've got to go out and cover the 2019 WNBA champions, the Washington Mystics, and that was a very cool experience, especially since I'm from the DMV. I'm from Virginia originally, so seeing them win was very special for me personally. Just because I'm from here, seeing a women's team bring it home especially. Some other events that I've been able to cover is the Washington Wizards, and I'm also a color commentator for Howard University men's and women's basketball, and I'll be calling my first game with Howard for this season starting December 18th.
Yeah, that's a very nice accomplishment for you. So you're on your way to progressing to be one of the best women journalists we'll ever see in our time going into 2020. It's that 2020 vision we are seeing in about a month of change. Now, what's it like covering the Washington Mystics? And I've had this conversation with Jasmine, and I've had this conversation with Monica. Why don't you tell me your perspective of covering the Washington Mystics WNBA Finals Series win over the Connecticut Sun?
It was amazing. It's kind of surreal, when you're a person who follows a team all season, you kind of feel like you're a part of it in a sense. No, you don't win a ring, but you got to witness something special. I witnessed history, the home team winning their first WNBA title, and then relentlessness. They lost in the year before in the finals, and for them to be able to bounce back and kind of stick to their word and their motto, run it back, following the whole tagline and the essence of this team, their adversity, ups and downs. It was just kind of cool watching them win it, especially against such a great Connecticut Suns team. That was a very fun series, a challenging series. Your best player goes down in Elena Deladon. You don't know what's going to happen. And it just... It's one of those stories that really does go down in the history books, because at the end of the day, they could have lost. They could have folded when Elena went down, but they stuck together as a team, and it was a true testament to, how hard they worked to earn that championship.
Yeah, hard work does pay off when you're trying to win these championships in the WNBA. Just like the same hard work that you have in the progress you made as a sports journalist.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get into sports journalism?
Well, I graduated about a year ago, and I stepped away from playing basketball. I played Division I basketball at Sacred Heart University. But when you step away from your sport, you don't necessarily, or me personally, I didn't want to totally be away from the game of basketball. I love basketball. I love sports, period. I love the competitive nature in it. So another way that you can tackle that is through sports journalism, whether it's writing, whether it's going out and covering teams on air, behind the scenes, any aspect of it, really. I think it's just kind of fascinating and fun.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, especially when you go around covering all these journalists, meeting all these journalists, and Monica, Camila, Christina, Ari. Those are really cool people to connect with. And I should know because...
I saw her sports page, though, and I think that's, remarkable what she's doing, the way she built that platform. I don't know her personally, but I've seen her out, and for her, I just shout out to her because she started her sports page, down here, her Instagram page, and she's gotten some followers and stuff like that. When it pops up on, my Explore page, always checking it out and stuff like that. Ari, she's great doing her thing. Everybody knows Monica. Everybody knows.
Yeah, especially me. I was lucky. as you saw, I was lucky enough to get an interview with Monica when she came down to
Yes.
New York. She talked
She's
about her
great.
time playing college basketball. She talked about being a sports journalist, and I even kind of low-key roasted her when I told her that she only made this week's seed, and not the Final Four, and not the championship round. But you know,
She
it's
probably
better.
didn't take that lightly. You know, she's a competitor.
Yeah, I know.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, a lot of stuff that I gotta chop it up with you about. What you think about one of the most craziest upsets you ever seen in college basketball last night
Last night,
in North
so
Carolina?
the thing is, I am a UNC fan. So anytime Duke goes down, it's like music to my ears. I love it. I was ecstatic watching the game, but it was also a very exciting game, to say the least. I don't knock Duke, although I am a North Carolina, Roy Williams fan, and all that other stuff. I think Duke is a great program. For Stephen F. Austin to break their non-conference home winning streak after 19 years, you know, remarkable. So it's great. That's what basketball is all about. I even saw people tweeting November Madness. You know, we've seen a lot of people go down in the early goings, and it just goes to show that in this day and age, in this era that we're in, it doesn't matter if you are high major, mid major, you got to come to play. You put on your shoes the same way that Duke put on their shoes, or any other team in the country. So it's just all about scrapping. It's all about getting after it, and that's what I love about basketball. People are competitive, and they're not looking, you know, scared against these number one teams. It's like, hey, we're going to step up to the challenge for the most part. So I love seeing that, and I love thinking that, you know, the separation between high major and mid major is getting closer. It's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot to talk about that, but before we get more into the Duke getting upset, let's just look back at one of the craziest buzzer beaters you ever see in college basketball. Let's just take a look back at it.
Jacks had it, they just couldn't secure it. Loose! Kensmill's got it! They've got a timeout, they don't use it! Bane! Yes! The Lumberjacks have done it! The Lumberjacks apparently have done it! They'll look a little longer, but this is going to be the biggest win in program history! But this is Bane, he's looking up at the clock. Is the ball out of his hand when that clock goes to zero? Oh my goodness, yes! It is. Nathan Bane, this is...
Stephen F. Austin might pull off upsets like this down the road of the season if they could beat teams like Duke. The first non-division team in over 150 games Duke has ever lost to. That is just incredible.
It is. It really is. Like I said, it's a testament to teams knowing that I'm going in the house of a number one team. I'm going on the road, but I'm not scared. I play Division I just like they play Division I. So I think with that mindset, with that dog mentality, anything can happen on any given night. And, you know, it kind of showed last night. I don't think, the crazy thing is, I don't think Duke played a horrible game. Yes, they missed a lot of free throws, left some at the free throw line, but so did Stephen F. Austin. That's why it was like, you know, such a balanced game. It just goes to show that, hey, teams can do it. We saw it with Evansville. They knocked off Kentucky.
Yeah, I did see a photo where they showed that upset as well. Evansville knocking out Kentucky. How is that even? Nah, son. March Madness in November? Are you serious?
Yeah, it's November Madness.
Do you think Duke is still going to be one of the most relevant teams in college basketball?
Absolutely. I think this loss is going to make them more relevant. Teams who typically suffer a huge loss like this tend to go on and do well. We saw it with UVA. They lose to UMBC in the first round of the NCAA tournament. Granted, you know, that was far more down the road. But I think teams who get a loss and get that bad taste in their mouth from losing to quote-unquote a team that they weren't supposed to lose to, they usually bounce back stronger after that because they don't want to feel that again. You know, they fix the kinks of what might be going on. So to say that Duke won't have a decent tournament run, I think would be a bad way to put it, especially after one game. I'm a firm believer in, and this is the truth, you don't lose the season by one game, not this early on. Duke, yeah, they're going to feel bad. They probably feel embarrassed. so to speak, as well. But not all is lost at all.
Yeah, nothing's ever lost in college basketball because when you have losses like that, you always progress your way back to the top.
Absolutely.
Speaking of progressing way back into the top, what are your impressions of all the teams? What are your impressions of the 2019-20 NBA season with all these new dynamic duos coming together? And particularly, what NBA team do you usually follow?
I'm a Lakers fan. I've followed the Lakers since Kobe was on the team. My dad made me grow up basically a Lakers fan. The dynamic duo, who's killing the league right now is Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They've been going at it. I really have been feeling their play. I want to say another dynamic duo who's going to kind of get it together is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. We haven't seen them, really together yet due to Kawhi being out to his load management issues. Paul George was out in the beginning due to his issues or whatever. I believe he had a shoulder injury, I think. So it's just about, I think they'll be the team that not necessarily comes out on top, but just another powerful dynamic duo in this league.
Yeah, I know. Especially since Kawhi Leonard and Paul George proved that they could be one of the most dominant dynamic duos when they're on the court together. They defeated Boston. They defeated Houston. They blew out the Mavericks yesterday, which was led by Doncic and KP.
Yeah, we haven't seen them much together, but what we have seen, it's been good. So I'm looking forward to see them when they actually, do play, when Kawhi doesn't have to necessarily take games off, against some fierce competition. I'll definitely be looking forward to that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And also, I know you say you're a Laker fan. Like, I know. How far do you see the Lakers going this season? Do you see going all the way to at least the runner-up in the NBA Finals?
I absolutely do. I think because right now they're clicking on all cylinders. I believe they're, unless they played last night and I missed it, 15-2. What can you say about that? They're playing well together in the early going. I think the biggest thing for them to get to that point, to dream of being NBA champions or making it to the finals, is health. Their team is a older team. They don't have many young players on that squad. So it's going to be about staying healthy, taking care of their bodies, but they're pros and professionals. So I believe that they know what they got to do in order to win. And I probably would suggest, if you were to ask one of the Lakers what would be their biggest Achilles heel if they, weren't able to make it that far, they would probably say health too, because it's not their ball play. It's definitely going to be keeping people on the floor, keeping them ready and healthy. Yeah,
that chemistry that LeBron James builds with his stars from throughout the decade was just incredible. This is basically the decade of LeBron James. When we get to the 2020s, we hope that it's going to be about LeBron for at least a few years into the decade, because the guy has like a few years left to his contract after this.
Right.
Only questionable concerns like, will this guy continue to play until he's 41 like Vince Carter?
I think he can. He looks like he's like 23 out there right now. He looks like, throwback LeBron. He looks in tip-top shape, playing hard, averaging triple-doubles. The only player, I believe, to average a triple-double on every...
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
It's like... The man is incredible. You cannot doubt his greatness. That's one thing that you cannot deny as far as his play, his work ethic. So I think if he continues in the strides that he's on, he could probably surpass Vince Carter and be one of the oldest players to be in the NBA.
And if he manages to surpass Vince Carter for the oldest player in the NBA and still wins a championship, just remember, it's LeBron James.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What are your thoughts about the Eastern Conference New York teams with the Brooklyn Nets actually having a winning streak, despite the fact that Kyrie Irving has missed a few games, Kevin Durant has not played in a Brooklyn Net uniform yet, and DeAndre Jordan's missed a few games? What are your thoughts about that? You think it's more the teams they're playing were bad, or just because the Nets were just a good team?
No, I think they're just meshing. Sometimes it just works out that way. We got to remember why KD and Kyrie Irving decided to go there because they saw potential in that team before they even got there. You know what I mean? They chose the Brooklyn Nets, and Spencer Dinwiddie, remarkable player, you know. He might not be the shining star when you put Kyrie Irving in the picture or anything like that, but he's a great player. LeVert, another great player on that team. So I think it's just about the chemistry that they've been able to build, the camaraderie. We see the benches involved. When you have things like that, good chemistry, locker room guys, it can all work out. It's the NBA. They're pros for a reason.
Is basketball like the only sport that you do freelance journalism for, or do you like follow other sports like volleyball, baseball?
Sure, I've done high school football in the DMV area where I've gotten to follow some pretty remarkable football teams, such as Freedom High School. That's actually where I'm assistant coaching at, and they had a really good football team this season. They ended up losing in the regional semifinals, and that was their first loss of the season. So I believe they finished with the 11-1 record. Colonial Forge High School is a school in Stafford County, Virginia, which is not too far from my home. They're doing well this season. I've got to go out to a football game and cover them. WCAC football is a big thing in the DMV, and those are some really great players. When you turn on your TV screens, it's probably a lot of WCAC players out there on the field. So yeah, football has been another thing that I have covered and I've enjoyed covering.
Yeah, speaking of football, what are your impressions about the Washington Nationals? Because, well, the Nationals have just been bad this year.
Or are we talking about, you mean the Redskins?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Redskins, it's the home team. I won't bash too much. It just needs some work. Some work, rebuild. People putting up signs, sell the owner, sell the team, I'm sorry. So it's one of those things where if they could get it together in the next couple years, it'll be another success story, and people will try to take back their statements about how bad they were and stuff like that. So I never put a team too far out as far as what could happen. You never know. They're probably definitely in the running to get a top 5 draft pick. So we'll see how that turns out for the Redskins. Yes, they've had a pretty funky season. It's hard being a fan sometimes, but in sports we know a lot of things can happen. So they'll either crumble all the way or they'll bounce back, and we'll see them again next season. So the season's still going on, and they just gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, and I know the Washington teams are just so literally terrible. I mean,
are you? Wait! No! Pause! Don't come for the Washington teams now. Washington been doing all right.
Yeah, I mean not all Washington teams. I know the Mystics won a championship. I know the Nationals won a championship. But in fact, I know. Well,
don't forget our hockey team.
Yeah, and the Capitals won a year ago.
That's 3 teams.
I mean, okay,
don't
3 championships. I'm not trying to bash Washington teams as a whole, but I'm only referring to the teams that's currently playing right now. Like the Nationals, that season already passed. I mean, I'm sure you already watched.
Don't say the Washington teams.
I'm sure you heard Jazz. I'm sure. You should just listen to the episode where I interviewed Jasmine and interviewed Monica. They gave their thoughts on the Nationals winning the World Series, despite the fact that every team won on the road. Ah, man.
Remarkable. It's just sports, man. Like, that's the great thing about sports. Things happen. Camaraderie, teams, togetherness. It's like magical. That's the thing that I love about sports. You never count a team out too far. The turnaround can be so real, and you might be retracting your statements of once calling them this horrible team.
Yeah. Well, a lot of teams are gonna. Well, don't worry, Redskins and Wizards. You're gonna get to where the championship teams are right now. Don't worry about it. All I gotta say is, trust the process.
Trust it, exactly.
And you can trust the process and listen to the fact that the podcast is over. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison, alongside my special guest at this time. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed it. Thanks for the great podcast.
And I would like for you to tune into it, watch it on YouTube, or listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, and all the streaming platforms. And to all the sports athletes and sports journalists out there, get your head in the game.